The aches and the pains, the sweat and the frustration that cider making demands of us.
Hello, my name is Ria Wincaller, and I am the producer and cider MC of this weekly podcast, where we speak with makers, cider enthusiasts, and folks within the cider trade from around the world.
Hip, hip, hooray!
Talking about the aches and pains of cider making was Tom Oliver. You just heard that little tiny snippet to bring us into this here episode 453 of Cider Chat, because I'm really hoping that you're going to stay around and listen to his full keynote address, which he gave at the Hereford Applefest Banquet, and that took place in October of 2024. We actually had an earlier episode with Jane Payton, who also delivered a keynote address at the same banquet. Now, let me just bring you into context here. First of all, we're talking about a region of the United Kingdom, which is to the west of London, so it's called West Country. And there's different regions out there that are really prominently known as cider making and perry producing territories. And so you have like the hub of the city of Bristol that is in Somerset, and then going north is Herefordshire. You'll have a little bit of Gloucestershire to the east, a little bit like southeast of Herefordshire. The Applefest took place over the course of 2 weeks. The kickoff event began on September 28th, and it was an opening day with live music and artisanal cider and perries, apple juice, children's activities, the whole gamut. And then there were various locations that hosted activities such as cider and perry talks and tastings and orchard tours and live music, all over the course of 2 weeks. And then the final event is the banquet. And it was really my honor to be able to join the likes of all those folks who are based up in Herefordshire. You know, you had Ross on Wye Cider and Perry Company. They had like a whole table full of folks there, because that is like a community like no other. And they're all sitting around the table. Oh, I have a photo of that, so I'm going to put a photo in the show notes for this here episode. I was seated at a table right next to them, and to my left was Elizabeth Pimlett, who is the museum director at the Museum of Cider in Hereford. To my right was Adam Wells, who is best known for his new book, All on Perry. Jane Payton was there. Mayor Paul was there. There was a lot of dignitaries throughout this banquet, and it was all held at the town hall in Hereford. So it was quite a gala event. They had the two keynotes from Tom and Jane. We're going to be hearing Tom's keynote in this here episode, and he kind of switched it up. Jane was talking about the history of apples and cider. Definitely check that out. It was really well done. And Tom is going to be talking about 3 legends for perry pears in that region. So yeah, you're going to, if you are a fan of Tom, of course, and then if you love perry and you want to know a little bit more about the history of, you know, how it kind of got its juice going, so to speak, in modern times, you want to listen to this keynote because it's quite informative and really touching. There was also another speech that evening given by Albert Johnson, and it was a tribute to Susanna Forbes, because the banquet was on Saturday, and on Thursday was her funeral. And boy, talk about how it coincides. So it was quite an event, and I was in the UK because I was at the tail end of my reconnaissance for setting up this year's Totally Cider Tour to the UK, which is taking place at the end of August of this coming summer. Now, Hereford proper is a pretty cool place. It's a very approachable city. There's sections of the city where you don't really have cars. It's kind of like a mall area. So I'd kind of liken it to Burlington, Vermont, where they close the main route where there's stores and stuff. And that's where they have a farmer's market. Very walkable city, rather historical too. There's a big church that you can walk about and some cool apple history in there also that Elizabeth Pimlett can tell you all about. And just the city itself has a nice vibe. There's also the Hereford Beer House, and that is a smallish little spot bar, but packed with lots of great bottles and cans of product, both beer and cider. That's a happening place, definitely. So if you're in Hereford, there's so much to do from the cider perspective. You have the Museum of Cider, you have the Hereford Beer House, you have just walking about. There's a secret wine room. In fact, I had a little talk with the chap at the Hereford Beer House. So let's roll to that clip now, just to give you a little bit of flavor of what to expect at this cool city in a big cider country.
My name's Sean and I run Hereford Beer House. We have around about 100 different bottles of cider and perry, and then on the draft side we usually have 4 bag-in boxes. At the moment we are 2 bag-in boxes and 3 keg-conditioned ciders.
Is that pretty typical?
In winter we do reduce the draft selection a little.
Just a little. Right.
So in January and February typically we would have 2 bag-in boxes and then we'd increase to 3 and then 4.
That's pretty amazing though for those listeners out there who don't even get to experience bag and box. That, even if there's one, that's absolutely incredible. How long ago did you open up the Hereford Beer House?
So it was established in 2015. My predecessor Johnny set it up with his now wife Emily. They had a focus on cider. Johnny and Emily had a selection of around about 50 different local ciders. I decided to kind of try and take that to another level, really. So we rearranged the fridges, put an extra fridge in so that we could make some extra space for the beer, which then opened up more space for the cider. And we've approximately doubled the selection since 2022. We get visitors from literally the whole world, and particularly on the cider side of things. So a lot of the local cider producers, they invite groups to come and visit and they do a little tour, and part of that tour quite often they stop at Hereford Beer House for a drink. We have the biggest cider selection in a bar for, I would guess, minimum an hour, maybe 2 to 3 hours from here.
Well, that's a nice feather in your cap to be able to say that. And are there snacks that you could have too that like typically folks have with cider here? Is there a classic snack that...
We have a ridiculous selection of snacks. And we have around about 30 different snacks. Some of them are particularly good with cider, so the snacking cheese works really well. The acidity of the cider kind of cuts through the saltiness and the richness of the cheese. We've got crisps and different cured meats. I mean, cider is one of the best drinks for pairing food with, even more so than wine, I think. And I think a large part of that is it's got the tannins, same as wine does, but it's got much more acidity, which makes it, I think, a better choice for food pairing.
And you are open how many days a week right now?
We're 5 days, and the aspiration is to become a 7-day-a-week business, but that requires restructuring, which we're not quite ready for yet. But we're 5 days a week. We reduce slightly in winter, so January, February, we're down to 3, sometimes 4 days, but generally we're a 5-day-a-week business.
Lovely. And I see you have a pretty good dedication up here on the wall, because you have how to assess cider course and cider advanced course, all these certificates, and the cider foundation course. These are all like the Beer and Cider Academy. I think you're working with Gabe Cook there.
Yeah, the ciderologist.
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
When we took those courses, our cider sales afterwards approximately doubled.
Wow.
So
how do you see that? Because people are more knowledgeable talking about it?
Yeah, I think this is a really important message to get out there, actually, that a lot of people don't want to invest in time or money in cider because they don't see it as a profitable thing. But what a lot of people are not seeing is the value of education. When you understand the product, you understand what it tastes like and how to sell it and how to make sure you're selling someone the right product for them, then you can see a huge increase in cider sales. And I'd really like to see more businesses in Hereford doing that. I think the untapped potential here is ridiculous.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I can't wait to return to Hereford and go back to the beer house there, because it's right next to the hotel. So it's going to be a really easy walk over from the hotel to the Hereford Beer House. I'm super stoked about that. We're going to be staying at the Green Dragon Hotel, which is a real central hotel in Hereford proper. And another piece that he mentioned that I think we do need a double take on, and that is education. It's really worthwhile for anyone trying to sell a product in any industry in the world. One is if you have a firm foundation, a knowledge base, coupled with a passion for that product, that's a win-win all the way through. And you are going to be able to make a more knowledge-based and enthusiastic response to people who are interested in checking out that cider that they never had before. So super cool that they were able to really up the ante there and have a increase in terms of double in sales right after those courses. So yeah, way to go for everyone there. All right, when I come back, we're going to be heading to our featured presentation with Tom Oliver, where he will be presenting his keynote address as done at the Hereford Applefest Banquet of 2024.
This Applefest Banquet is a celebration. It's a celebration of cider and perry. It's a celebration of the trees we plant and tend in the orchards. It's a celebration of the makers of this golden fire. It's a celebration of all those who distribute wholesale and retail cider and perry. It's a celebration of all those who advocate, teach, write or blog. And it's a celebration of all those who have raised a glass of cider and perry to their lips. It's a celebration of the traditions, the history and the heritage that has both graced and on occasion soured us through time. It's a celebration of the sheer hard work, the aches and the pains, the sweat and the frustration that cider making demands of us. It's a celebration too, though, of the determination, the innovation and the creativity that we all need in bucket loads going forward. So when Paul, the catalyst behind this all, asked me to speak on perry, I thought that after the barnstorming, wonderful presentation from Adam last year in support of his excellent book, Perry, A Drinker's Guide, I'd take the opportunity this time to celebrate three of the people that have given so much to perry over many years and who deserve both our thanks and I think certainly our admiration. And the first person is Charles Martel. He's probably best known for his Stinking Bishop cheese, a soft Gloucester cow's milk cheese washed in Moorcroft perry. He's also helped save the Gloucester cattle breed from extinction. He's also set up his distillery in, as luck would have it, the oldest known distillery house, which just happened to be on his farm in Gloucestershire. And he produces a range of products there, including a peri-pear version of an apple pommeau called Poirot, and very delicious it is too. But it's in his book, Pears of Gloucestershire and Peri-Pears of the Three Counties, that is quite mind-boggling. From his days as a livestock haulier, when he was cruising the lanes of Gloucestershire and the Three Counties, he found his eye was always taken by these big old peri-pear trees. But he recognized that these orchards that they were in were themselves fast disappearing. So he set about scouring the countryside to catalogue as many varieties of peri-pear as possible. In doing so, he established the first national collection of peri-pears, which was around the Three Counties Showground at Malvern, a living museum of many rare and disappearing peri-pears. However, I think it is his book that remains a truly monumental work. It's hard to credit the amount of time, the degree of observation, and the patience it took to find and verify these peri-pear varieties. In doing so, Charles joined a short list of peri-pear champions that includes Thomas Andrew Knight, the Reverend Bulmer and the Woolhope Club, Radcliffe Cook, Herbert Durham, and Ray Williams. What a list that is. All of them deserving to be celebrated and admired for their lifelong works. I recall the Gloucester Cattle and the soon-to-be Three Counties Perry Convivium deputation to Slow Foods Salone del Gusto in Turin in 2006. where Charles was to receive a slow food doctorate. It was a glorious mix of farmers, butchers, cheesemakers, perry makers, and food producers. The side of Gloucester beef, destined for the banquet, was held up at customs, and it barely made it to the ceremony. And Jean Knoll, the excellent perry maker from the Markel Ridge, and myself were assumed to be a couple by our young Italian hostess, which, given the difference in our ages, was highly amusing to us both. I'm very pleased to say that Jean did play along with this for many years afterwards, and we would make joint appearances frequently. The great thing about this motley crew was that Charles had refused to go to Turin by himself. He'd insisted on taking his posse of people who were actually involved in the day-to-day and could actually speak to the beef, the cheese, and the perry. There's so many strings to that man's bow, and including a recent stint as Lord High Sheriff of Gloucestershire. So this is the first person I wanted to talk about. The second one is a gentleman called Jim Chapman. Jim comes from a farming family, though I think farming is the last thing he ever wished to do. And he practiced for many years as a solicitor in Newent, where he created the Shambles Museum, before he crossed over to the world of perry. Jim has many attributes, but he has focused much of his time, especially since retiring, on raising funds through lottery grants, amongst others, for causes local to Hartbury in Gloucestershire. And he administers much through the Hartbury Trust and has been responsible for restoring the old chapel hall, the bee shelter in Hartbury. But it wasn't until his discovery of the Hartbury Green peri-pear that he embarked on a crusade to build the Hartbury Orchard Centre and establish the home of the second national collection of peri-pears. His abilities to donate land, raise funds, and manage the whole project through to fulfillment is the mark of a determined man. You can now walk through these peri-pear orchards of the National Collection, and I urge everyone to visit and support this incredible effort by Jim to preserve the peri-pear. It must be remembered that these Royal Horticultural Society National Collections are in themselves most highly prized accolades, and it is tremendous that he has one for his collection. Also, every year, he and his wife Holly create the peri-pear exhibition at the Autumn Show at the Three Counties Showground at Malvern, frequently exhibiting over 100 different varietals of peri-pear, for which they have just won 3 Royal Horticultural Society prizes in a row, which is tremendous. I consider this exhibit to be equivalent to one of the 7 wonders of the world. It certainly is for all lovers of the peri-pear. It is truly amazing to see this display. Once again, the time, the effort, collecting, naming, and then writing out all the names, it's tremendous. And he does this every year. It's incredible. I take my hat off to him. Obviously, to achieve all this, Jim has some very clear views on things. And that includes a dislike of sparkling perry, a dislike of sweet perry, and a dislike of public speaking. So you don't often get to hear him ever talking in public, and he certainly is never drinking a champagne perry. He likes it dry and still, and he sticks to it. I was delighted to see the recognition given to Charles and Jim by Cider Review. Well done, Adam and team, and well done to Adam. Yesterday, he received the Camera Pomona Award for all his works to promote cider and perry. So, a round of applause. But I was actually even more delighted to hatch a plan earlier this year with James Crowden, the author and cider brigand, to chauffeur Charles Martel and Jim Chapman down to the Royal Bath and West Show that's held in May, for them to receive their Royal Bath and West Society's Special Award for Lifetime Contributions to the cider and perry industry. A wonderful acknowledgement by the industry for all they have done. The Bath and West ceremony was especially heightened by the presence of Susanna Forbes in her wheelchair, with James trying to navigate the uneven grass floor of the orchard tent. It was a brilliant sight. I have to say, it was fantastic. Susanna was clapping, cheering, and beaming brightly, more excited than anyone for Charles and Jim. She was determined to enjoy the whole affair. I also find it somewhat strange that we have to go all the way down to Somerset to receive recognition for something that should be quite clearly recognised as a Three Counties trademark and triumph. Clearly, Charles and Jim have devoted so much of their time, effort, and energy to bring this beautiful fruit to people's attention, to find it, to propagate it, to plant it, and now all that was required for this to hit the real big time was someone to make the peri. So, up stepped Kevin Minshew. Now, Kevin was making and bottling single varietal pears before most of the new breed of peri advocates had even been born. He was fascinated by these glorious trees that populated the Gloucestershire parkland, fields and orchards, and he relished making this drink that so strongly identified with his county surroundings. A trip to Rose Cottage at Aston Cross near Tewkesbury was a step back in time to an era that was reminiscent of many of the black and white pictures you see of old cottages, stone mills, and single or twin screw presses. Scattered through the sheds were barrels bubbling away of a large number of varietal ciders and pears. Kevin was the first to seize the opportunity of bottling at Three Counties Vineyard, and he proceeded to release some of the most intriguing, daunting, and sublime pears I've ever tasted. His gin and Huffcap pears remain landmarks for me. His love of old whiskey barrels was legend, and frequently the spirit he rescued from a newly arrived barrel would be the nightcap after a day spent sampling peri. True chaos. It was wonderful. I know that I and many others would not have realized just how great a drink peri could be without Kevin's alchemy, shining a light on peri making back then. I hope you will all be delighted to know that a final Kevin Minshew peri will be released in November, called the Last Hurrah. It is a palate-boggling blend of Moorcroft, whiskey barrel and thyme, 23 years to be precise, and weighing in at 11% ABV. A real celebration of what these three gentlemen committed so much time and effort to. And for those of you lucky enough to be at Peri Day yesterday at the courtyard, there was a chance to get a sneak preview of Kevin Minshew's Last Hurrah. Looking back at what these three gentlemen have achieved, I hope we can all appreciate their work and their commitment, and I hope it will act as an inspiration going forward as we take on the challenges of the future. So you don't have to have peri in your glass, but if you do, great. If you don't, I hope it's cider. If it's something else, it doesn't matter. But I would just like you all to raise your glasses to Charles Martel, Jim Chapman, Kevin Minshew, and all who strive to put peri in its rightful place. Peri.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I am Peri Pear, and I thank you. Don't stop applauding. Thank you very much.
Peri Pear, you're kind of co-opting Tom Oliver's keynote speech.
On the contrary, Rhea, I am accepting my role in history, too.
Oh, brother.
You go, Peri Pear.
Okay, Pops. I thought that was tremendous, and he was really speaking about some key legends. So if you want to read a little bit more about what Tom Oliver was talking about there in terms of both Charles Martel, Jim Chapman, and Kevin Minshew, do go to the show notes for this here episode 443 of Cider Chat. And stay tuned for an upcoming episode with Tom Oliver at his cider and peri production facility in Herefordshire.
Yes, Rhea, indeed.
All right, Poms, we're going to be heading out of here. We still have to go out and do a little bit of pruning in the orchard and getting ready for some rootstock coming in so we could, well, do some grafting of quince.
Looking forward to that.
And we even have a Burford pear that we're going to be grafting too.
Yes, should be interesting. From the Cortex?
Yes, that's right. Dorsey Cordick and Brittany Cordick, they sent up some both quince scion and pear scion from their orchard down in North Carolina. So we got a little bit of work cut out for us on top of all the other chores that happen this time of year. It's just so busy.
I love it.
Me too, Medlars. Me too. All right. Well, then, with that, I leave you here. This is Rhea Windcaller and the Talking Palms.
Hello.
Looking forward to seeing you in Ciderville.
We like cider, we like palms, we love orchards and having fun. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes there is.
There is a reason why we do it like this.
Oh yes there is. There is a reason why we drink it like this. Oh yes there is a reason. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet. We like cider, we like palms, we like orchards, having some fun. There is a reason why we do it like this. Oh yes there is. There is a reason why we do it like this.
Oh yes there is.
There is a reason why we drink it like this.
Oh yes there is.
There is a reason. We like walking through the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet.
Oh yeah.
We like cider.
Oh yes we do.
We like palms.
Oh yes we do.
We love orchards, having some fun. There is a reason why we do it like this.
Ba-da-da-dum.
There is a reason why we do it like this.
Ba-da-da-dum.
There is a reason why we drink it like this.
Ba-da-da-dum.
Ba-da-da-dum. We like walking down the orchards, dancing in the streets, smelling all the blossoms, kicking up our feet.
Oh yeah.
We like cider.
Ba-da-da-dum.
We like palms.
Oh yes we do.
We like orchards, having some fun.